Hey guys, so I have about an hour before I have to go into work, so of course I'm going to complain about Star Trek Enterprise. See, I'm a huge Star Trek fan. I've been a Star Trek fan since I was a kid. So I think I'm in the position to say that Enterprise was one of the most disappointing series. Why? So Enterprise came out in 2001, and by this time there had already been 4 Star Trek series, including the animated series 5. There was the original series, there was the Next Generation, there was Deep Space Nine, and there was Voyager. The original series takes place about 300 years from when it originally aired, which was in the 1960s. The Next Generation took place about 70 years after the original series. And the 2 subsequent shows basically took place parallel to the Next Generation, maybe a few years after. Now, what made Enterprise so interesting is that it was a prequel. It was supposed to have taken place about 100 years before the original series and about 90 years after humans had discovered faster than light travel. So you have a great opportunity here. You can actually examine how human beings got into being a spacefaring race. So kind of show that. Show what happens from going from faster than light travel to starships. But no, instead, they're like, we're going to do the Next Generation, but we're just going to limit some of the technology. Nothing original. The limitations in figuring out how to do this stuff should have been the plot of the show. But no, all they wanted to do was come up with a remake of the Next Generation with a gimmick. They tried to play up this whole thing about the Vulcans being too paternalistic and the captain of the ship having this animosity towards them because they were holding humans back. The Vulcans have been stuck up since the original series. For people who are fans of fantasy, Vulcans are kind of like the elves of the Star Trek world. They really do look down at every other race. I think there's one episode in particular that shows how unoriginal the show actually was. And it's a storyline where you find out that Vulcans had actually landed on Earth and were observing humans back in the 1950s. And one of the Vulcans decides to stay on Earth and uses a Vulcan technology to make a lot of money for a reason. The episode is called Carbon Creek. It's from the 2nd season, 2nd episode. It's actually not a bad episode. You can kind of watch it on its own. Even if you don't really know much about Star Trek, it'll make sense. So anyway, what this alien does, what technology she has to make all this money to survive, it's Velcro. And that's kind of funny, right? Here's the problem. The episode takes place, I think, in 1956. Velcro was invented in 1941. You can look this up. Velcro had been around for well over a decade before this episode takes place. But not only that, but the joke that Velcro was an alien invention isn't even original. The Powerpuff Girls and Men in Black had made the same joke. And that's the thing about Enterprise. Even when it was entertaining and not bad, it was uninspired and unoriginal.